Hi Pankhurst, and welcome to your first Talk for Writing lesson this week. So today is Monday, the 1st of March 2021, and our learning objective today is can I write out the text map? So today we are going to write out our text map, okay? I want you to think about this question. What are our everyday writing skills? Have a good think and list them down. Okay, so now that you've written down what you think are our writing skills on a piece of paper, okay, you will need to keep this at hand because this is what will be our success criteria for today, okay? Now, I want you to check your everyday writing skills success criteria against my expectations. Are there any you have missed? And if they are, please add them in. So, you need to make sure that you use neat and cursive handwriting. You need to make sure that the punctuation is used in the correct places. You need to make sure that capital letters are put in the correct places. And you need to make sure that you read back through your work to ensure it makes sense. Okay? And then take your time to really think about what you are writing and do not rush. Now, these are your everyday writing skills that you need to be using in your work today. Let's read through our text map together. Make sure you include the actions as this will help to remind you what each part is. Okay, I am going to show you the video with Miss Gossage showing you the text map, and I want you to practice along with her.
What changes happened from the Stone Age to the Iron Age? Have you ever wondered what life was like in Britain for the earliest humans? Read on to find out about the changes that happened in the prehistory of Britain. Timeline. Stone Age. In the early Stone Age, people were hunters and they found their food by roaming from place to place in different seasons. In the late Stone Age, the way people lived changed a lot because they began to settle into farming villages instead of moving from place to place. People started to look after animals and grow their own crops. Bronze Age. When people discovered how to get metals out of rocks, a metal called bronze replaced stone as the best material for making tools. People were therefore able to build better farming equipment and also began to make bronze weapons and jewellery. When people died, they were buried with their most important possessions. Iron Age. In the Iron Age, a metal called iron replaced bronze as the main material for making tools and weapons. People lived in tribes and were often at war with each other. As a result of all the wars, Iron Age people began to protect themselves by settling in hill forts, which were groups of round houses and farming land protected by stone walls. This period of history ended when the Romans invaded Britain in AD 43.
Now, before you begin writing out the text map, I am going to model writing part of it for you so that you can see what yours should look like. Okay? Now, watch me do it, and then I want you to go and practice yourself. Okay? Now, if you look at the text map, at the top you have a title or a heading. Okay, so our title is what changes happened from the Stone Age to the Iron Age, and I'm going to show you now how to write it. Okay, so I am going to write the title out, and I am going to write it in my best handwriting possible using my cursive handwriting skills. So the first thing is the title, and I'm going to write it on the top, on the first line, the big line at the top. Okay, I'm going to write what changes happened from the Stone Age to the Iron Age. Okay, now that's my heading, and what you need to do is you need to make sure that you underline it. Okay, so I am going to use my ruler. I mean, I don't have a ruler, so I'm just using the straight edge of a book, and I'm going to underline it nice and neatly to show that it is the heading. Now, if I go back to the text map, the next part is the first paragraph, which is the introduction, and the introduction says, have you ever wondered what life was like in Britain for the earliest humans? Okay, and I'm going to write that out now. So I'm going to show you how to write it out. I'm going to misalign, and I am going to start writing my paragraph here, my introduction paragraph here, because remember, an explanation text always has a it always has an introduction. So I am going to write down, have you ever wondered what life was like in Britain And Britain has a capital letter because it's the name of a country for the earliest humans. And if you can see, I have used a question mark because my introduction has started off like question. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my text map, and the next thing is a subheading which says timeline. Okay, let me show you how you will do that. Then you're going to misalign, and you're going to write down your heading saying timeline, and you are going to then underline it, and I've done that in the middle of my line, and that is because on my text map the heading is right in the middle. And then what you're going to do is you are going to draw out the timeline. And if you can see my timeline, it's a line with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines on it that have been split. Okay, now watch me. So I am going to draw my timeline. I'm going to place my ruler and draw on the line, and then I am going to split it into 6 lines. Okay, now I've got my, but on my first line on my timeline it says 500,000, and on the last there's no date. Then when I go back to my text map, it says 2000 BC, 700 the birth of Christ, 43 AD and 40. Now I am going to copy that timeline down exactly the way I see it. So I've got 2000, then I've got 700, then I've got 43, and then I've got 410. Between 2000 and 700 I have BC, between 43 and 410 I have EAD, then in between 743 but closer to 43 it says birth of Christ. Okay, and then it says Celts. And on top of my timeline, if you had looked at the text map properly, I had another line, okay, which was right above my timeline looking like that. And on that, it had said on one side prehistory, and on the other side, it had said history. Okay, then it said Stone Age, then Bronze Age, and then Iron Age, and then Romans, and then Saxons. Okay, so now that's my timeline done. Now I'm going to go back to my text map, and I am going to draw a box like this and then write the heading Stone Age. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So I've got my piece of paper here, and just underneath my timeline on one side of the page I'm going to draw a box, but I am not going to draw a picture in it yet, because the most important thing for me right now is to make sure my writing is done. And then I am going to write my heading Stone Age and underline it. Now on my text map for Stone Age, it says, in the early Stone Age, people were hunters and they found food by roaming from place to place in different seasons. Now let me show you how to write that. So I'm going to write underneath Stone Age, and I'm going to write down in the early Stone Age, people were hunters and they found food by roaming from place to place in different seasons. Okay, now if I go back to my text map, so different seasons, then it says in the late Stone Age, the way people lived changed a lot because they began to settle into farming villages. So I'm writing it bit by bit. I'm just not writing it all at once because I want to remember what sentences I'm writing. Then I'm going to write down in the Late Stone Age. The way people lived changed a lot because they began to settle into farming villages, yeah, instead of moving from place to place, instead of moving from place to place. Now I've made a mistake here because where it says Stone Age, I should have written that as a capital letter. Okay. Now I'm going to read over my sentences to check that they make sense. In the early Stone Age, people were hunters and they found food by roaming from place to place in different seasons. In the late Stone Age, the way people lived changed a lot because they began to settle into farming villages instead of moving from place to place. Now I am going to go back to my text map and look at my last sentence for the Stone Age. And the last sentence is people started to look after animals and grow their own crops. So I'm going to finish this paragraph off and I'm going to write down people. Look how I've started with a capital letter at the beginning of my sentence. People started to look after and I'm going to start here because my box ends there. Look after animals and grow their own crops. Full stop. Yeah. And then I'm going to write my next part, which is the Bronze Age. So I'm going to misalign, write the heading Bronze Age and underline it. Now, Pankhurst, it's your turn. So you need to use your everyday writing skills and success criteria to write out the text, write out the whole of your text map. Okay, I just want to explain something to you before you write it out. So you know over here in the last sentence where it says the period of history ended when the Romans invaded Britain in AD 43. That section is actually going to be, so this section here is actually your conclusion, okay? That is not part of your Iron Age paragraph. So what you will need to do is you will need to misalign and then write down this period ended in AD 43, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is what I want you to do is when you start writing out your text map, I want you to pause the screen here to help you. And you can keep watching the video of Miss Gossage doing the text map and you can practice it with her. Please remember to upload your work onto Tapestry. Okay, I shall see you in your next lesson. Bye.